can see and be inspired by. I'm passionate about job creation. And one of the reasons I'm in agric is because I believe agric is probably the only industry that's can accommodate everybody. Okay. Directly and indirectly, putting food on thousands stable every day. So that's inspiring. Okay.
Hope you can see the resemblance, huh?
Yes.
The boss.
Okay, so we're introducing ourselves as the speakers. Okay, let's use your dog. Let's
Just introduce yourself and then share a few things to inspire the people. You know, we have most audience here and more are still coming just because it's raining who are not part of the retreats. And I just wanted to have a few of the speakers we brought for the retreats. Who you are, what you do, and any word of encouragement.
Thank God. Before you give me mic to pledge money. All right, so good afternoon once again. It's amazing. This is my first time here in this town. Courtesy of Dr. Stephen. Let's put our hands together. Yeah, so like you know, for a few people who were here yesterday, I'm a business and management consultant. What that means in terms is that we help people start up businesses and that we help already existing businesses, whether they are struggling or not, to scale. I believe everybody can do more. Most of us are like Ferraris that are driving 20 kilometers per hour. If only you know that your car can do 220, 300 kilometers per hour, you will be going with speed. Like I said yesterday, on the last day, the person you are will be introduced to you by the person you could have been, and all be more. So my life's ambition and my life central ideology is to let people be more, do more, and have more. And I've summed up all of that into 4 key things that you must get right. One, there must be a culture, an extreme culture. People who are here yesterday, we spoke about it yesterday. There are so many. I spent the last 15 years reading, teaching, and I've come to sum up everything I know in just 4 words. Just 4 words, and I'm not saying it for lack of words, but for the summary of all the words that I've ever been written. A 1 hour conversation. And 1 hour conversation is almost, we transcribe it, right? It's about 80 pages. And I've had a lot of 1 hours. And I've come to sum up life, the road to growth, with just 4 things we must get right. 4 things we must get right. First, in the culture of ownership. Everybody in Africa thinks that there's somebody else that will help themselves. Matter of Africa, I come from a country, Nigeria, where people are trying to break out of Nigeria and they go to UK. Go and tell the UK that to break out of Nigeria. That's how much they think that they need to go to people. But we all hope for someone higher, someone different apart from us. The change is real. Once you see anybody that takes ownership, they say, oh, somebody take that cup away from them. And everybody's here. The guy that actually stands up to take that cup away, even if you didn't call his name, if you plot a scatter diagram mathematically over a time series, follow that guy for the next few months, for the next few years, will be successful. Because that's the mentality. And I know this for a fact, but back in our family, I'm the last child, and I look at sometimes our family tree, and I see the guys who are doing better. I'm like, this thing called leadership is not a position in the family. It's people that take ownership. Sometimes they say, you know, daddy said that one part of his house is leaking. As well drops in the family group, and the person that says, oh, okay, send me a card on me. You shouldn't not the richest person, but they're the ones that go far in life. And ownership, just taking ownership, that's the first one. The second one is sense of urgency. Sense of urgency. A lot of us procrastinate too much. Yesterday, he said today. Today, he said tomorrow. You'll be shocked that many people said they'll come here today, but they won't come here. But they wanted to come.
So hold on. How many of you do not understand English? Can I see you as well? Can someone speak that in French?
Combien de Ronan ne comprend pas l'anglais? So she's the only
one. So she's the only one? Huh? Okay. Do me a favor, you can go to the back, he will be transcribing to his that.
No, many states are
You are okay? No, we were going to let them say. Okay, we go.
Yeah, so I hope this has this intro, so we have 2 minutes to sum up. Like I actually got the everything. So what the I said, one fucking ownership, take ownership. Africa and Nigeria, I don't know if Cameroon is too different, but most West African countries, this year I've been to at least 6 African countries or so. And they are no different. Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Cameroon, Ghana, very alike. Matter of fact, put them on the room, something can differentiate them. Right. I was telling someone that Cameroon is more Nigerian than Zamfara. Cameroon is more Nigerian to a lot of us. In terms of look at how we behave and how we act, than Zamfara is Nigeria. The only reason why there's Cameroon and Nigeria because self-interest of Portuguese, French, and English. They sat down and looked at us. Everybody should read the book How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. And like literally a cake that they cut and say, look, for us to have peace, you take this path, right? Cameroon and Nigeria are actually one country. You just map that you use, right? So, and so when I talk about Nigeria, I know that I talk about Cameroon. Everybody in Nigeria goes around with the mentality of what is in it for me. But the main thing is what is in me for it. Does it make sense?
Yes.
What is in it for me? Popular thinking. Everybody says what is in it for me. But the actual secret of growth is what is in me for it. What is in me for it? This problem, what is in me that I use to solve this problem? But every time you solve a problem, you create the SI units of success, which is value. The SI units. You guys know what SI units is, right? Unit. The second thing, so ownership. The second thing I talk about what? Budget. Do it now. Do it afraid. Do it shy. Right? Do it sometimes being tacky. Everybody's first work was tacky. Picasso's first artwork wasn't great. Da Vinci's first work wasn't Mona Lisa. The Davido's first song, if he hears it now, he says, turn it down, turn it down, turn it down, turn it down. Whose voice is this? Right? I was reading something about John Legend. You guys know the artist John Legend? Right. He spoke from my first speech. He went to speak at an event. I think it was commencement speech for a university that he had gone there a few years ago to sing. His name is really John Stevens. Right. Cameroon school in New Jersey, New York. And when he sang, they booed him off stage. He came back years after to do commencement speech. Who doesn't know John Legend? One of the greatest artists of our generation, multiple Grammy. Everybody's first song will sound like John Legend when he was playing on stage. So do it now, do it afraid. Do it, just do it now. Nike gives you an idea. Just do it. Just do it. If you showed up the Stevie before and after, himself will say, when he likes his before and after, everybody's first work was done. Right? The third one is giving. I've seen the smartest people in the world. I went to Futo where people that went to Futo back then, I don't know if to change now, Futa and Futa. Because of all this technology, science, the only science course they did, so he had straight A students. I had people that scored 50 out of 4 of them jam. When you guys get into Nigerian schools, one it's super smart people. I saw these smart kids who are not exactly doing better now. I saw a lecturer who disputed Einstein's theory in my university. All these PLKK, you guys will get physics, you know, he was a lecturer. And I saw them drive Volvo and use miserable all through. And I'm like, how can you be this intelligent and not be this successful? Matter of the most intelligent person on earth is still alive. His name is Christopher Lagan. If you Google him, he has the highest IQ of all time, more than Einstein, more than Edison. He's alive. You know what he's doing right now? He's outside the next door. He's the smartest person on earth, IQ. So sometimes he's not intelligent, he's not a lot of things. His spirit, the spirituality of growth is aimed on giving. You guys know the person story, it tells you everything, but if you think about it deeply, and I'm not saying this to make anything because you know my personality, I don't have tendency, I don't have, even if I faked it, I don't know how to do things smart. I can tell you for a fact, I'm probably one of the closest person in our both lives. I can tell you the secret source is giving. He gives till there's nothing else left. And he's always been like that. Don't think he's giving because he has. He has because he was giving. I don't know if this sort of makes sense. See, whether they are pushing you or not pushing you, don't find somebody that gives if you are not the one giving. Do you need first? See, as God, oh God, for God to come to rescue man, he gave himself. 3:16, right? John 3:16. He could have said, I'm God, all your sins are forgiven. Even his principle was to give himself, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, which is himself, God the Son. When Mark, sound like me, but I just say it. Right, one of the guy that swore that God couldn't find anything to swear, Melchizedek, he couldn't find anything to swear on because it's God. You know, you can swear on God's name. What can God swear on? He couldn't find anything. Yes, so he swore on. Yes, it was Abraham. And he swore on himself because he gave. Giving is the hack, is the trick, is the expo of this growth. Giving. And sometimes when money is time. Sometimes not time, it's attention. 90% of people go through depression, who have gone through depression if people give them attention. I have a help in the house going through the crisis. I had a long conference my wife today. She had a long to something happened. She was caught doing something. She have told her she's going through a lot, right? And 3 days ago, she's very close to my wife. And my wife, she was excited about this one guy who she likes, you know. So, and the guy comes to Lagos and she takes a break. This is she and my wife. I didn't have this. She had to take a break to see man. And she was seeing the man as she went the man to call the man. The man was on the other side of the road, she was on the other side of the road, it's not a Nigerian movie. And the white guy was crossing the road, car hits someone that came all the way from the UHC. Car hits the guy. This was 3-4 days ago. Yesterday, my wife called me and said, the guy just passed. I want you to do what you said. First of all, let us take a break for walk, let us stay in the house. Because nobody gives this girl attention. She needs this place. Be shocked at how 90% of wars that we fought in this world were fought because there was no attention given. War, real war. You must give. If that's what you talk the phone and think about and watch people and do your facial expression and your gesture, change them so that you're in conversation. 90% of infidelity in marriage is attention. When you say money is important, I say, guy, top 10 richest men in the world, 7 out of them are not married. Which is money. The money will be marriage. Right? And you know what's funny? Nobody you know what you you see who they end up with. Don't want to mention it. Jeff Bezos' wife that left, she's dating a teacher. What this makes sense to us. The universe is looking for attention. God, even God is asking for your attention. That's how much we call it. And then the last is excellence. Do even the most ordinary things extraordinarily well. Do even the most ordinary thing, be excellent, and you be tacky, you be shabby, do it like nobody was watching you. Mama, do it like God was in front of you. Just excellent. Nigeria and Africa is filled with so much mediocrity. Our school, for you to pass, you need to score 40 to go to the next class. You know what 40 out of 100 is? That's less than average. That's what we are judging our lives on. Some people will never see anything in their life 70 out of 100, nothing. Absolutely. Most people, in anything, they will not score. Even people carry religion on their head. If you score them, if you score 70 out of 100, that's how mediocrity. So you don't even need to do much in Nigeria or in Africa to stand out. Just to be a rest above average. But the trick is, I'm not telling you to be a rest above average. That's what it takes to be noticed. Now imagine if you do more. The trick is aim for perfection. You will never get there, but aim for it. That even if you land on excellence. Thank you, and God bless you. Okay, Izu, EIZU. I'm following on Instagram. Also has motivation on his structure in case you want to structure your business. Thank you. Just EIZU. Not that. EIZU, just search anywhere in YouTube, EIZU.
Okay, can we clap for him? Okay, next, let's start with this one. So,
My name is Toby Faraday. I'm a journalist and a PR consultant. I'm not sure why this Stephen wants me to speak.
no, one of us.
So I'm not a natural speaker. I'm more of a writer. And for a lot of people who don't know, I went to school with Dr. Stephen. Yeah. I think I've known okay, Science is brother. Oh. So I'm not going to go there. I think but so I studied English, and Dr. Stephen used to hold this this business meeting in the mornings every, I think it was Wednesday mornings. We used to hold it.
6
a.m. And the first test that we had to pass was that you get there at 6 a.m. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm a night crawler, and so I don't wake up early. I hate mornings. And that was the first thing I had to learn. And so if you get there early, you will get to eat breakfast. There was this one who was really nice, close to his house, that used to sell very, very, very nice rice, very early in the morning, peppered rice. The rice is great. So if you get there early, you get to eat that rice. So, and I like it. So and usually I'm always hungry in the morning because I don't like mornings. So I'll try and get there early so that I can get breakfast. And so that's the kind of relationship that we had. It was always feeding us, giving us words of wisdom, being there for us. It would appear in Dr. Stephen's house at 12 midnight and we'll open the door for you and give you everything you need and tell you everything you know. That was the kind of. And so after the school, of course, most of my professional career has been, I've done a bit of work with him. And one thing I learned with him, I became a journalist because I like to tell stories. And I also realized that people don't tell their stories enough. You allow other people to tell your stories for you. But that's one other thing that Dr. Stephen has taught me in the last 7 years, 6, 7 years. He has been telling his story consistently. And if you walk back, you can see that the story does not change. It does not change with the audience. You know, some people, some speakers, when they find the audience that can give them money, for example, they tweak the story to fit into what the audience needs to hear. But he doesn't do that. He's telling the story consistently. So that 20 years from now, when you go back and search, you can find the details that he actually used to grow. And that's what I also learned as a PR consultant. People don't tell their stories enough. They allow other people just, oh, people know now, people know. No, people do not know. For example, walked into this room, we've learned that Izu is a fantastic speaker. Aside from the fact that he does business structuring and all that, We've learned that about it. But somebody who didn't come in when Izu was talking, for example, would not know that about Izu. If he does not keep talking about what he does, you would think all there is to him is that, oh, that guy spoke really well, and that's all there is to it. So as business people, as people who really want to grow, telling your story is key to everything that you do. Document, tell your story. 20 years from now, let people search you on the internet and find that, yes, you're the first person that attended Dr. Stevens' event, for example. I'm not saying that that's what you should tell us. Really, telling your story is second to nothing because other people will come and tell it for you. And they tell it in a way that you will not approve of. So the best way as a person to own your narrative is to tell your story. And that's what I do. I help people tell their stories in a logical manner, in a structured manner, in a way that makes sense on paper. So that's okay.
Funny enough, it makes sense.
Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, I came in quite late. I didn't know what was happening. Was why I asked actually what first. So my name is Shola Adishaki. I am a chartered accountant by profession, as I love to say. I qualified about 24 years ago, and I like to say that I'm an accountant in 3 continents. Yes, I'm a fellow in Nigeria, in the UK, I have CPA in Canada, and I'll tell you why I'm sharing my story. But for a better part of my career, you would think that a chartered accountant should be like, fantastic with their finances, but the reverse was the case. I was always broke. In Nigeria, 18 years ago, earning 500K per month was a big deal. Right, but I was always broke and living on IOUs, right? I was a finance manager that was taking an IOU from my subordinates. 1 week after salary was paid, no shame. Until one day you were trying to reconcile, and then one of my subordinates was like, "No, we don't have money." I'm like, "But I approved petty cash." And the person said, "Ma, you were the one that collected it." I'm like, "No, this has got to stop." Right? I took some really insane decisions that I wasn't proud of back then. And that was what led me into personal financial literacy. And I started to just learn, how can I be more useful? How can I, take my finances more seriously? I started to learn, and then when I discovered some secrets and tips, they're not secrets, it's financial literacy. I then started to teach financial literacy, set up tools and resources. So I tell people by proficiency, I'm a chartered accountant, but by passion, I'm a finance coach. And in the last 10 years, we have done quite a lot of work, not just in Nigeria, but across Africa and about 40 countries, where we continue to teach people how to make, manage, and multiply their money. I know we have some community members here. I don't know if they are here. Anybody from Swansea? I know from I thought this session was free, so I told them to join when they will come. Now, what do I have to say? Back home, everybody's complaining, the economy is hard. Maybe in Cameroon, things like bits, okay, you guys are not experiencing any inflation, things are hunky-dory. I tell people it's a global phenomenon. If you have, not take a life. If you live in the UK, you have friends in the UK, in the US, just everywhere, people are literally complaining. So I tell people there are 3 economies that should be of importance to you. Your personal economy, the national economy of the country you reside in, and the global economy. You see, for the national and global economy, you don't have control over it. For example, we wake up in Nigeria, fuel price was 185 last year, and today it is 1,180. Did we contribute to that conversation? No. But those are decisions made by other people that we have to live with. Devaluation. 4 years ago, 3 years ago, you could buy dollars at 360. Today, you buy dollars at 1,700. Did we say, please, let's be a part of that conversation? No. So there are more things that you do not have control over that affect your finances. But you see that your own personal economy, you have a bit of control. And you must take it more seriously, more intentionally. How you make money, how you manage your money, where's your money going to? I tell people, I am not a finance coach that tells people not to spend money. Please spend money. Because you spending is what oils, the wheel of the economy. So if we don't spend, the economy will not grow. And that was what happened during COVID. We still have not recovered from it, where, the natural cost of the economy was grounded. So we must spend. But I tell people it is easier to make more money than to cut down expenses. By the way, to what extent do you want to cut down on your expenses? So I think expanding your income is the way. And I love Dr. Stephen, he does a lot of that. I hope people here from this meeting, you're going to subscribe to GTEx and the things they offer, the products and services. That's one easy way of expanding what you already do. Affiliate marketing, monetizing your passion, monetizing your gift, monetizing your proficiency, monetizing partnerships, monetizing your past experiences. I went into teaching personal finance, just as I already explained, because of my past experiences. And listen, personal finance and literacy has taken me to the world more than even what my accounting qualifications have done. I've been to continents, I've been to places to just help people understand and, talk to people about how they can manage their resources. I'm going to leave you with an acronym. And the whole essence of this my brief conversation is, please take your personal finances more seriously. Now, and your business finances and your desire to build wealth, because nobody is going to do it for you. If you think your government cares for you, they play, as we say back home, just they play, because nobody has got your interest at heart predominantly. So you have to work. So my plea is, yes, just like I said, they play. Please participate in wealth conversations. Participate in your personal finance. Don't say, I don't understand maths. When I was in school, I didn't like maths. This is not maths, this is money. There are different things. Don't say, I don't know where my money is going. Your money is in animate. You are animate. How can a non-living thing be wiser than you? So participate in issues that revolve around your money. Where are you making money? Where's the money going? Follow your money closely. As we speak here, you're seeing Dr. Stephen for the first time. Don't let him go to the money machine. Oga, lay hands on me. Oga, let me touch the hem of your garment and the hem of your wallet. Show me the way. I want to go places. Partnerships. Because we are here because we have seen something in us. And that's why I will meet my family on the weekend, one of my freest weekends this year. So come to Cameroon. Let's think, what can we do now? This is what I can do. This is how can we collaborate? Do you see? So participate. L leverage, which is what I already explained. GTEx, how can I sign? What can I do? Where's the money? Show us the way. A, take actionable points. It's not enough to get all of these things. Listen, this is divine. That you're here today is divine. That you're listening to all of us is divine. That you're listening to them is divine. Take action. Don't go back and say, that program was very good. I took photos. After the photos, what next? You post it on your story. What next? What is it going to amount to? Do you see? Make sure that you're taking an actionable step from this program. And finally, realize that you are the asset. You've got potential. You've got gifts. You've got the brain. You've got everything it takes to take you to your next financial levels. I hope this frequency of mind. I'm able to appreciate it.
Thank you very much. So, last but not the least, we have the CEO of Nine Mobile.
Good afternoon. Well, all the amazing speakers have already, giving all the logic needed to give. Everybody knows my name. I run one of the telecom operator business in Nigeria, mobile phone operator, like MTN, Orange, Nextel. I spent the last 25 years in the industry, and Cameroon was one of my, I would say, first few countries I started my career as a support engineer working for Ericsson. So it's really a pleasure to be here. So I remember first coming into Duoala in 2002. Actually, that was my first time coming in here, and then Cameroon was still active at the time. And it was really quite an interesting flight. I won't go to that flight now because I'm in that country. But bottom line is that it's a pleasure to see that Africans will share more things in common than we actually imagine. A lot of our countries are imaginary borders. Reality is that we have so much more in common, so much more in common. I've been to so many African countries, at least about 20 of them. And the reality is that we are the same people. Africans need to learn how to collaborate, how to understand each other, and how to build an economy among ourselves. Flights is so difficult to fly across different parts of Africa. Simply because we don't trade among ourselves. They are not so much volume of people moving from one place to another, so therefore transportation is very expensive. It's more expensive to fly to Cameroon than to fly to the UK from Nigeria. And we are just 1 hour flight. It took me 6 hours to get here from the time I left Lagos because I was trying to look at it. So I know that the only way Africa progresses is if we actually make this intra-Africa trade work. And intra-Africa trade will only work with communication and interaction among the people that live in the countries of Africa improves. We have to visit each other, we have to understand each other, and we should avoid stereotyping each other. Because at the end of the day, the social economic context where each one of us grew up will be different, but at the heart of it all, we are the same people. I found that the Bantu people who are very, very predominant in East Africa and Southern Africa originated from Cameroon, by the way. So reality is that most of us by migration we are really much more interlinked, much more than we can ever imagine. So I say to my fellow African brothers, we are all here visiting you guys. We hope you guys will come over to Nigeria. Don't be scared of Nigeria. And as a matter of fact, we have to dream to turn around the fortunes of Africa. Every country that relies on outsider to build it never gets built. The people that will build Africa will be Africans themselves, and we are the future. I said in my session this morning, Africa is supposed to be 2.4 billion people in 20 years time. 1 out of every 5 of those 3.4 billion, actually 1 out of 6 will be Nigerian, as it is now 400 million people. Reality is that 2.4 billion people is the largest concentration of human beings in any part of the world. 2.4 billion is a huge market. Huge market. We have everything that is required to actually harness the potential of the 2.4 billion people. Real estate is part of it. Agriculture is going to be key. Power, energy. We have got everything. There's really no continent in this world that has blessed us much as Africa is blessed. So it will be down to our ability to imagine a future for ourselves and create a future for ourselves. So I say to my fellow Africans that one of the only influences you have over your future is your dream. Because you do not control tomorrow, you do not control who you're going to meet, you do not control who you're going to, what's going to happen to your career, but you have one control, and that is your dream. You gotta have to dream it, and then it is only impossible until it is done. Because when it is done, is no longer impossible. Everything that most people have counted as impossible in the past was done by somebody. As soon as that person did it, they will say, oh, wow, the person has broken the record, right? You can also break records, multiple records, only if you will dream. If it can happen in your mind, it can happen in your lifestyle. Thank you.
One more time, can we clap for? Well, I want to thank you all for coming, despite the rain and all of that, so good to see you. I oftentimes when I do this meet and greet, it's usually more like a book review session. So I have a few of my books here, and I'll just do a few of them. We have one called The Billionaire Habit. I think last time I came here, we looked at this, right? Just so we can, if you were here last year when I was here. Okay, this review Billionaire Habits. And it says the secret billionaires used to do well, therefore people to not. And one of the first things we talked about here is called win-win relationship. Can we say win-win relationship? Win-win relationship. So I realized that a lot of poor people, when they meet anybody, once they tell you this person is rich, the first thing that goes to our mind is, what can I get? Right? What can the person give me? Can God touch your hearts? You know, so that, and then we begin to burden them with our problems, right? As though they don't have problems. Every day, the amount of requests I get for help is crazy. But that's not even what is annoying as the audacity. People ask as though I owe them. Am I making sense at all? And it's part of the problem that, and when we say poor people, it's not by your account, it's mindset, right? When you have a poverty mindset, you think everybody owes you, you think people owe you, and you fail to realize that nobody owes anyone. You owe yourself. You're the only one that owe yourself to succeed. But when you then begin this partnership that Mrs. Shola was sharing about, you want to think of win-win. I remember meeting a minister in the former administration in Nigeria. The two of us was very coincident because we're just the two of us in an elevator. And we started from the first floor to the 12th floor together, just the two of us. Instead, we were both also going to the same floor. And I started just greeting him. I remember my brain just started racing. What can I do for this guy? I knew what he can do for me. For a starter, he was Minister for Transportation. He could make the rail pass through my estates, and I have many of them, right? Or I mean, there are a lot of requests I could ask him for, but I couldn't think of what I could do for him. And as I greeted him, that was the end. I did not say anything for him. Right? And that's the right mindset of a billionaire. Win-win relationship. Can you tap your neighbor and say win-win relationship? Always look at it from the angle of what can I also add? What can I do for this person? Does that make sense at all? When you get, and I tell people most times, you reach out first. Do it first. And once you do it first, there is nothing you will ask, right, that they won't do for you. And I'll give you a practical example. One of them is the richest man in Africa. His name is Cosmos Maduka, founder of Cos Charities. That happens to be one of my great mentors that I admire. Is there Cos Charities in Cameroon? There's no Cos, but are you sure? But they're in Ghana, right? So Cos Charities in Ghana. I will not be surprised if they're in Cameroon, because in Ghana as well, they are very silent. Because the Cos Charities in Ghana is not the Cos Charity that sells car, but that sells motor parts. Right? So I can assure you, Cos Charities in Cameroon. Because most of the branches is just selling motor parts, right? So all the, so they're quite silent, you even know they're there. But I share that to give you an example of how I met them. Right, it was at the airport, and I just passed through the security, whatever. And then I heard one man say, why are you sending me back? Why are you sending me back? There's no, practically the immigration officials or whatever they are were just frustrating him. And by the time I look, obviously it was because they knew who he was, and you know how we feel in Africa. Once you're a big man, see your boss, and they know he wasn't going to do the normal tipping and give free money. So they just kept saying you rescan his luggage all over again. So I then looked up and he was in, as soon as once it was done, I approached him, greeted him. And the first thing I said, what can I give? What can I give? I have my book, right? So I signed it, I said, I'm an author, I've hosted great speakers like John Maxwell, Blanca Don. It would be nice to have you one of these days. And he was okay. Thank you. And then we ended. But I knew meeting him wasn't going to solidify the relationship. I will let him talk. It wasn't going to be. Right. So I kept looking for opportunity to get closer. Unfortunately, before I knew it, I had the wife passed away. So I remember messaging him, I'd love to come. And I had to be Googling, what do you give somebody who just lost their spouse? And true story. And then I remember sharks look for a few things to get. One of them was a diary. That said they would like to journal, right? So a journal, a diary, that would be a portrait of his late wife, and a few other things. And I remember getting to his house, and there were tens of people there, from church, from everywhere. And to my surprise, not one brought a gift. Not one. Can you believe that? Not one person. Right. Cut the long story short, that was the beginning of our relationship. In fact, my event was the first event he spoke at after the loss of God. First. Right. And I'm trying to use this to explain the power of what? We relationship. Does this make sense at all? Yeah. Because many of us will have connected relationship that will have changed our lives totally. Right? Relationship that will have made all the difference. But we are worried more about, well, I don't have enough. Now, what exactly was the gift? Really, if you look at what I gave, it wasn't really anything he couldn't buy for himself. But was the thoughtfulness. Are we learning today? Thoughtfulness. Thoughtfulness, just be thoughtful. And today, the relationship is so strong that sometimes shocked. Remember one of his in-law, I wanted him to speak. And then he, and to my surprise, the in-law reached out to me and said, Dr. Cosmo said you are his manager. And I was like, I don't understand. You are his family. But that's how the relationship has grown over time. But it was because I didn't look at him as this one of the richest people who have over $1 billion, right? Like, what can he do for me? And how can he help me? Till today, one cover, I've done investment, I have several investments, I need investors. Till tomorrow, I've not asked him once. And this is a relationship that if he's to invest in any of my business, the least he will do is $10 million. Well, I don't know the club. I didn't ask him for it, and I've never. Right? But helping to understand the right mindset, right, to success. And it's part of what I shared in the book. Because if you don't get this concept, you will just keep looking at people like me and yes, you want to be like me, but if you don't practice the principles, does that make sense at all? It is gonna constantly get a lot more what? Difficult. But can I shock you that what I have gained is more than money he would have given me? Do you agree with me?
Yes.
Way more, right? Because for many of us, just like myself, we come from a background where there is nobody people can point to for guarantees. I don't know that, and you have no idea how those things have limited the opportunities that will have come your way. Right? Because it wasn't like your uncle was a minister or your auntie was rich. So even though you now have a business, even though you now have something that you need people to do business with you, right? And at a level, a certain volume, they're like, when something goes wrong with this relationship or with this transaction, who do we even know with him? Is this making sense to talk?
Yeah.
That we know we can go and hold this person, or this person has a grip on him, or this can become a buffer. And that's what I have enjoyed with people like that. That today, more people are now confident to invest $1 million without even seeing them. Am I making sense to talk? Because trust me, he can't be with Cosmos Maduka if he doesn't have integrity. Do you see? And many of us do not know how in Africa, integrity is not measured by actually integrity. Integrity is measured by association. Right? So a lot of us are entrepreneurs and we're just wondering, why is my business not growing? Why is my business? Meanwhile, I mean, he was just sharing yesterday how the guy said, I want to invest $400,000, but it's because I saw you with Dr. Stephen. And when you meet Dr. Stephen in Cameroon, let me know, then I wire the money. Yes, is that serious? Right? So, in our part of the world, integrity is not really integrity. You can have integrity as long as you like, right? Until somebody people believe has integrity, endorses you, is associated with you, then they are not yet what? Comfortable. Hence, there's a limit to your growth. So you see why your focus when you meet a wealthy person shouldn't be, what will he give me? Am I making sense at all? Because just that association alone will give you way more than what they will have given to you. If you nurture it, if you build it, if you take it from the point of giving instead of from the point of receiving. Does this make sense at all? Are we sure?
Yes, sir.
Come on, are we sure?
Yes, sir.
Are we sure?
Yes, sir.
I remember when I got closer to President Obasanjo, before you know on social media, people say, you know Obasanjo giving him money. It used to be, you know Oyedepo giving him money. I think now is it not Cosmos giving? Do you know what? I love that he say that. Okay? It helps the brand. If Cosmos can give me money, are you as rich as Cosmos? Bring your own. Are we learning at all?
Yes, sir.
But don't go with that mindset of, hey, what will I get? The man is rich. And people will tempt you into that. They will even ask you, how you met the guy? I hope he gave you dollars. Right? You met this rich person. What did he give? Don't even deny that he didn't give. Just say, well, we're looking at some big stuff. We're looking at some big stuff. Just move on. Have we learned something?
Yes.
Come on, talk to me. Have we learned something?
Yes.
Right. So a lot of stuff I shared here. I hope you read it. For those of you buying it today, I'm going to be signing it for you. But read it because your habit determines your decisions, and your decisions determines your destiny. So what needs to change is not necessarily suddenly you are a billionaire. No, your habits first needs to change. When your habits change, which is what you do regularly, right? Over time, what changes as well? Your income, your life change. And those money that you'll be looking for, naturally, you begin to what? attract them automatically. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, the second book I want to briefly talk about is called The Billionaire Code. It's like the part 2. Thank you. It's like the part 2 of the billionaire habits. We just add further conversation. And this is what Brian Tracy said about this book, because I gave him a copy to review. I don't know if you know Brian Tracy. Okay, so most of you know him. He says, this is an amazing book full of wisdom and ideas that you can use to improve your financial situation immediately. This is Brian Tracy. Grant Cardone says this guy is amazing, he's a phenomenal human being. Damon John says, I know he's putting you on the right track. I've met him, he's really amazing. I mean, these are great world leaders now. John Maxwell says that Stephen is my friend. You see? Friend is good man. And I respect what he's doing as a real estate company. Right? So for Kiyosaki, the first book I read that changed my life, the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad says, if you want to be a billionaire, you have to think like a billionaire and think bigger. That's why you need the billionaire habits that Dr. Stephen and Peter. Come on. Right? Les Brown says, you're an icon of forceful good on the planet. God has chosen you for that, and I recognize that. Okay, so really powerful book, but let me share a few things from this one called The Billionaire Code. And here we talked about moderate lifestyle. This is chapter 10. And I have a quote here. I said, moderation is not so much about how much one spends as it is about how much one spends in proportion to his income. I don't know if you agree with me, right? Because sometimes when we have this conversation about moderation, okay, we don't even analyze it based on who we are referring to. What is moderate for me is what? Is extravagant for somebody else. Do you agree with me? Yes. Okay, so, and this is where a lot of us miss it in Africa. E.g., you see somebody buy a private jet and your mind goes into waste. Can you not give the money to charity? You know, blah, 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 blah. Today, everybody who knows me know that indeed I deserve a private jet. Two of us, okay, with my level of itinerary. In fact, what was in my heart, if not just that the cost was ridiculous, was to have just flown our speakers in the PJ to Cameroon, because it was a long time. It was just an hour, right? And then return. But when I saw the cost, you know, we spent over $50,000 to and fro. I saw the instruction. Eh? I received instruction on moderacy. Right? So, my point is, moderacy is based on your own level per time. Does it make sense at all? And we must understand when we talk about the concept of moderacy, it's also based on the purpose of it. Because some moderacy don't make sense. It does not make sense. It's the reason people are not confident doing business with you. You know, I mean, Izu is here. Izu has been a management consultant for a while. And we used to be in Ogba in Nigeria. It's a place I felt was, you know, was in front of a market and the office, of course, a block of offices, but we were facing a tide road. And in my mind, we're strategically located, in my mind. But first of all, my office was the third floor, no elevator. So by the time you get to my office, first of all, you are panting heavily, right? Five bedroom. I remember some people will come. I had a spare way in my place. I'm a bit disappointed when I came to your office, you know, because you know your brand is bigger than this. In those days, I didn't understand what you were talking about. Because I was okay with we're 5 bedroom, you don't understand. So the entire floor. Considering where we are coming from, right? I just sense those perception with people. And then so I some people say, even if it's Omole, let's move to Omole. And Omole is not too far from that place, but it's like a GRE, right? Where, high network people live. And he kept saying that. I remember I started with digital marketing. And in digital marketing, you don't even need an office, right? But I didn't know we had moved into real estate where you needed to flash. We're still talking about moderacy now, so that you balance the conversation. This time we hear moderacy, you just see it from that angle of drop your cost. But you have to drop your cost to the degree of who you are, where you are. Right? Some so-called moderacy is foolishness. Because now you're giving people a reason to be scared. So even then too, I remember people will buy property before people say people are not real. And I want my money back. I'm like, what are you talking about? Right? Meanwhile, it was all about perception. So I remember having this argument with a particular client in the US. He just went ranting. I didn't know what was his problem. And he kept using the F word. And we just moved to this new Omole office. Right? He was ranting. And then I told him, I said, first of all, you're too rude. Okay. And so I'm going to block you right now. Right? But before I block you, here is our new office, so that you don't go to the old one and say, you see, there's camera, they are not even in the office, I say, we have moved. So here's our new office. Here is the customer service number, right? So that when you get there, you can call them and you will say, again, and validate your fear. And I didn't even say anything to it. First, because this guy was in the US military, I checked in, there's not, so I even told him, I said, look, you can inform CIA, you can inform FBI, because as far as I'm concerned, this is a civil transaction, right? So I don't know all this nonsense you're talking about. So he came to this new office. I was in my upstairs and I could hear him, because I had not even finished furnishing, shouting. So you people are this big. So you people are this big. Give my receipt, give my receipt. At that point, it dawned on me that, wow. So if we had been in the former office, you see now, it would have been, hey, this is what you say. And these you guys, right? But by virtue of the location of the office, everything looks really cool. That alone just gave him comfort, and the case ended there. Right, so when I moved to Dubai, I didn't make the same mistake. I intentionally was living in Burj Khalifa, tallest building in the world. I got myself a Rolls Royce with a driver, okay? And then every morning I do video coming out of Burj Khalifa, entering my Rolls Royce. My driver taking me to office there. I mean, we have this. Now I was wiser. And then when you were coming to Dubai, when I'm around, I tell my driver to go and pick you up from the airport. Do you know what that means? It's a Rolls Royce. And then bring you to Burj Khalifa, the tallest restaurant in the world is there. So we'll first meet at that restaurant and have either lunch or dinner, depending on when you come. Then if we are close enough, we then come to my house. I mean, you have a choice than to pay. Will there be any further argument? Will we even negotiate? Right? Your man is saying, let me not fall my hand. Exactly. I mean, it would be embarrassing for you to say no. So, in teaching moderacy, it is based on where you are, who you are, what you are even selling, right? Because sometimes you are in certain businesses, you have to look the part. I mean, here the CEO of Nine Mobile, the office, even the office in Banana Island. So that tells you something, isn't it? About the network. Of course, the founders used to get to sell away from Dubai, so I'm not surprised they had to make sure the structure were in those kind of locations and all that. But it's ultimately how you grow. So there are codes in business that are very, very important. I'm now more in the US, but I've given myself a target. In 2 years, I have to have a private jet in the US. And it's not because I want to show off, right? It's just based on the volume of work we're working on, right? We're building a 99-acre estate, which will most likely increase it. Want to put a golf course. You know, I need big money. It's going to cost us over $150 million, right? So to be able to attract people who invest at that level, I have to look like the investment itself. It makes sense?
Yeah.
I have to. So intentionally, my house in the US is a 3.3-acre property, massive. Intentionally, it wasn't by mistake, it was it's intentionally done. Right? So that when you come, you know, I remember when we hosted for customers, I said, well, I had to put you in a hotel because you know, you haven't been to my house. You know, when I said, no, I'm okay. It's better to be your house next time. I said, yes, now we're talking. Okay, because I want to be sure it's the kind of property that will make you calm. And these are little codes in business, right? That you must be conscious of. But those of you in real estate, you must look what you sell, right? It is not a waste of money, right? But also be strategic about it. Some things you should listen. There's no point buying it, right? Because it might be what? Better to just list it, and it helps you when you need to go to certain places. I remember when I started my business, it was even my customers that would be ranting on Facebook. You are moving around sites, no policemen. And I knew that they were scared for their investment. so intentionally now, at least I have a police escort in Nigeria. At least and many of them, hey, better. Let me tell you, they will just kill me like that, my money is gone. So very important that you are, but more importantly, know who you are, know where you're coming from, right? And let your heart be moderate. Am I making sense at all? There's a word I always say, and I learned from one of my mentors, write it down. Functionality before luxury. See, today, if I still need to do economy, I will do economy, right? If I need to take Uber, I will take Uber, right? You know, I'm not trying to impress nobody, but if I know that this is strategic and then I need to go all out, I what? Go all out. Are we learning at all? Yes. So that you don't just create unnecessary burden for yourself. Be you. You know, make sure your life is as simple as simplicity can be. But be smart enough to know when the people, aka your customer, don't want it simple. And show them that you too can be sophisticated. Make sense? Yeah. Okay, well, read more and we learn more. So here we have the billionaire land banker. So this, in fact, this too is about real estate. This generally talks about global real estate. One of the best books I've written on real estate is this one, Maximizing Your Real Estate Investment. And it's from a global perspective. Some of those who love these books are not even Nigerians, so more to non-Nigerians than Nigerians. And I remember one of my mentees had the book in Dubai Metro, and was reading it, and the Filipino said, oh, let me just go through it. And by the time she was going through, she said, you know what, any amount you want, I will pay you. Go and get another one, but I'm not returning this to you. He said, because in Filipino, we have big time real estate crisis, and this book is answering it right away. You know, so really, really good book. But this one focuses on land banking. I tell people, if you're going to build wealth in real estate in Africa, you must master land banking. The biggest resources, the biggest wealth is in the land and not in the building. In Africa, right? You make more profit margin on the land than you can make on a building, right? People do land just to show off. You know, sometimes I hear some of our competitors gossiping here and there, and I laugh. So you gossiping that will not build more houses like you, But every day you're in EFCC, I mean, you know, you are counting billions in losses. I mean, I don't understand. Okay? Meanwhile, I have quietly, sold thousands of plots, made a lot of money by just selling land, which is easier, right? Which has less headache as of this moment. Now, we still have a vision of building 25,000 green and smart home in Nigeria. Okay? But at this moment, with the inflation, right, with the devaluation of Naira, wisdom is profitable to what? To direct. So we constantly, I mean, we have 2 new estates now. The latest in Jebu with 260 acres. We're playing, right? And like that, we have another one in Kuje, 46 hectares. That's over 117 acres, right? And we're launching like that. So we're playing more to our strength. We still build houses in Nigeria, but at our pace. With people who are okay to pay any of the variation and things like that. But guess what? And that's the good news. Without building house on some of our estates, some of them we were selling them 5 years ago at 1.5 million. Now it's going for 40 million. So why the rush? And why the rush? Another thing you will learn, and I hope you read the book, it's called Highest and Best Use. Some of our estate, I look back now that we bought 5 years ago. If we had rushed to build houses on it, no one would have built 1-story building. And it wouldn't have been the highest and best use of the land. Because today now we are saying even our neighbors are now doing 4-story, they are doing 5-story. Meanwhile, we would have tied that and would have sold it. Right? I will have tied that, I will end here, tied that as a 1-story building in a place we could have gone higher, made more profit on that square foot of land. Because are you aware in real estate, it is the land that appreciates, not the building. This building we're in now, this cinema has lost value since they started it. A lot of the woods are getting bad, a lot of the rugs, right? But guess what? The land upon which this hotel sits, the value has gone way up. Are we learning here? So don't tell me you're doing real estate without even understanding the power of land. Because that is really the gold mine. It's the land. And as the world population begin to grow, particularly in Lagos and Nigeria and in other African countries, African population begin to bulge, right? You own a land, you are guaranteed a billion by just owning a land. And you can keep it, of course, we share a lot about how to preserve the land. Is another thing. It's not just buying it. You have to buy with the right resources. Virtually all our estate has security men. Whether we build house on it or not, 2 security men minimum, and they do shift day and night to prevent land encroachment. Right? So there are a lot of things about it that you read from the book. But generally, from different types of real estate, shoplet, rental, rent to rent, all of that, you'll be able to learn it from this one. Does it make sense? Yes. Okay, so 2 more, and then we take questions. But has this been what's your time?
Yes.
Are we sure?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm really impressed because when an event is free and it rains, it tells you, who was that even having that conversation? Told me, now you can see, right? So I was telling you, I said, that's why I don't like doing free events. When you do free events, you really need 5 times the size to register. Because anything can discourage people, anything. Just the cloud, right? They have nothing to lose, they didn't even pay, right? So before you know, you will spend so much money, make an elaborate arrangement and nothing. So when I do conferences that are free, we have one next Saturday in Nigeria, over 1,000-seater capacity. So that because she does PR for us. So I was telling her, I said, I need all the CEOs to be on all the radio stations, all the TV stations this week. That she was like, do we need to really do PR downloads? I said, you don't understand. You do more PR for free event than you do for paid event. Because once it's paid event, they pay. If they are business, if they don't show up, it even reduce your cost. Right? But trust me, they will show up because now they pay. But when it's free, you then have double work to do. So for those of you who came out, let's try to ring clap for yourself. It's also about your own development, okay? So we have this, it's called the Billionaire Habits for Entrepreneurs. And these are the latest. You guys didn't see this last year, did you? I'm not sure if this, those of you came last year. Did I bring this one? Huh?
Yes.
Are you sure? And same with the Billionaire Land Banker?
Yes.
Oh, really? Yes, I can read updated. Okay. So that means it was really it came out, you guys had access to it. But I did this particularly because of a lot of people want to grow their business to billions. Because you guys spend $65 or Naira or francs. Okay, we need to change the currency. Right. So I realized that a lot of startup guys, and Mr. Femi addressed that today, it's really difficult to move from startup, right, to becoming a multinational. It's one of the most difficult things to do. Particularly if you're doing it from Africa. And part of the problem is many of us do not know the political side of business. That once your business gets to a level, you better network with people that matter, or people who have control over those that matter. Are we learning at all? Yes. Because people will just start coming after you just because they feel it's an opportunity to exploit you. Right? Oh, the guy has money. By the time we bring him to our office, at least something will go. You see the point? And you don't know that. You don't know those things are important. And before you know it, this one is extorting you, this one is extorting you. And before you say Jack Robinson, your business is dead. Right? I remember a particular gentleman, somebody was telling me, he's also in the real estate sector. And the person telling me, said, this guy does not understand relationship and he's suffering for it. One day, immigration people just showed up in his office. His COO, all his expatriates arrested everybody and deported them. Okay? But again, he doesn't know people. And in this part of the world, you should not negotiate just at the top alone. Middle level, the groundwork guys. Right? So you do both. The Oga, you know, the middle level guys, you know. Am I making sense at all? Yeah. Else people will literally, and let's see what the funny part about that story is one of the man's employee that is falling out with that sent those people. That's sent those people. And he doesn't know. It's his lawyer that he also fall out with that was telling this story. So I realized a lot of young people, we start businesses in Africa, the business begins to grow, and then before you know it's as if it start coming down. A lot of you notice that. And it's because we're just not conscious of certain things that businesses need to start working on at a level. We, for example, now have a CSO. Some companies don't even know when to have a CSO, who is a retired police officer, to make sure that his job is to make sure everybody is safe. Right? He's conscious of security issues. You have over 100 employees and you don't have a CSO who has an experience are we learning at all? Yes. So there are a few things I started putting in place in this book to help people know what do you need to start. And you know, the beautiful thing about what I shared in this book, you need to start doing them before you need them. Once you do it as at the time you need, everybody will extort you, including mentorship. I remember the story of a real estate guy. He started doing well in Nigeria, making, at some point, he was making 5 billion naira in a year. And he used to work with another real estate person who was like, all those, there are fathers in every industry, right? So he had worked with them before and he said each time he sees his friend, was the father that was telling me this story, like a higher real estate guy. He said each time he sees this guy's friend, say, tell him to come and see me. Tell him to come and see me. I see danger. There are things he needs to put in place. The guy will not answer. Before you know it, they had their biggest PR crisis. Suddenly, he now knew the mentor. He said, when he first called him, he said, first of all, you have to wire 50 million before you hear mentor. Now, he wasn't asking for anything when he was saying you should come and see him. He wasn't even asking for anything, he was just, hey, you need to, when you are growing now, do this, do this. That's all he wanted to just advise him. Very sure. I said, now, are we learning at all? Why we say you must put certain relationships in place before you need them. I said, first of all, 50 million. And then, of course, I had to now help you. So you are in Africa, ladies and gentlemen, you are not in America. In this part of the world, you must analyze those who, one way or the other, you are passing their territory on your way to the top. And be strategic to start building relationship with them. Now, hear this. Some, you may not necessarily build relationship with them, but build relationship with those who have influence over them. Okay? So, the chairman of one of our businesses that always have police issues, our land business, because it's either the seller, right? We call them a monile, right? The day you have to go and launch your estate, before you know it talks are everywhere. So you still need police, right, to interface, or you bought a land, the 2 members of the families will now be trying to use the police to fight you. I mean, one way or the other, you have to interface with the police. So, and thank God, again, be smart. Before we ever needed it, I built relationship with the former agent of police. And so it was easy at some point to say, sir, you have to chair, this particular subsidiary. Are we learning here? Yeah. And today now, some of even the land, when we're about buying, just call the seller. This is my Gobiro. Yes, sir. Let me be honest with you about this land. Sir, I can't lie to you. This is the real. They have been adult manner. There was one we were almost paying. The guy told us the land is facing the third road. At time Baba Mike because let me be honest with you, it is inside the bush where 10 kilometers. Come on. And we'll have paid before we now start realizing that it was a whole different ballgame. Right? So have we learned something at all?
Yes, sir.
Are we sure? So the last one is called Billionaire Habits for Pastors. I know we are pastors here. Right? Beautiful. So here this powerful book, and the focus is we realize that across different parts of Africa, people have had to extort church members. And if you're going to be honest, as much as we like to demonize people, some of these pastors are also victims. I'm not making sense at all. They also work. And my own father, he attends white garment church, so they call them prophet. And I saw how I grew up knowing a very, very poor father. Because, and hear this very well, he prays for people, asks them to make a vow that when God answers their prayer, they will remember him. And many of them go answer their prayer and they don't remember him. Okay? And so I see my father just being bitter. I remember how he asked me to pray. He was trusting God for children. God gave me children. He did not remember me. This one, before he became governor. Right? So some pastors realize the same thing we're talking about. And just feel it's better to have manipulated them into if you sow now, so, you know, you will get 1 million, and then you see all manner of games and manipulation. Are we together now? Because pastor or no pastor, he also has children, he also has bills, right? He has these bills. And some of these people did not work because they just want to trust God for their members. So I felt one of the ways to solve that problem is to write a book that shows pastor 20 businesses they can do that does not have stopped their ministry work. Isn't this making sense at all?
Yes.
And the pastor in Nigeria, all of you know him, right? Bad months, bad. Everyone say bad months. $200,000 will hit his account. On YouTube monetization, YouTube. Bad month. Say things don't flow. And there's nobody that generates content like pastors. Yeah. Content that can be properly monetized. So those are just examples of the businesses I shared there, right? That can be properly monetized. And I know another pastor is into relationship, right? In fact, now the ministry is YouTube, the ministry of YouTube. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. Yes. The ministry of what? YouTube, because he can preach from anywhere. So, but that YouTube is now the focus. Because so you can legitimately build your wealth, even as a minister, and still impact lives and still add value to people without manipulation, right? And that way, it's even you supporting church members, it's even you helping them. And that's why I authored the book, The Billionaire Habits for Pastors. And the pastor also forwarded it to Dr. Uge Manuel, who also balances between business and pastoring and ministry. And we felt with these states, we really help Africa. The one I will soon write is Billionaire Habits for Politicians. Right? How politicians can legitimately make money without having to steal. And it's true. Are you aware Obama has made hundreds of millions of dollars? Are you aware? Yes, you are not aware. Spotify, is this Spotify deal? Is this Spotify? One of the streaming platforms did a deal with him, and the next is another one, but just podcast platform did a deal with him, and he was on over 100 million. Right? So they have there are a lot of ways as a politician that you will make way more money with peace of mind than constituency money, than stealing, people's money, and then the FCC is chasing you. I don't know which one you have here, and different things are chasing you, and you don't have peace of mind, and even your reputation is a mess, right? Because people don't like how we've done things. Together, ladies and gentlemen, because this is a movement, we will change Africa. Do you agree with me? Yes. Together. Because we will build legitimate wealth, we will build it the right way, and we will turn our continent around. When other countries are counting developments in Africa, we've done 20 roads. We've done 500 roads. Do you know how China counts her growth? By how many millionaires they raised? As at the last time, they had a goal of 450 million. That's government. Are we learning at all? Government planning to make 450 million people to become millionaires. That's and it's the truth, because when you say the richest country in the world, like US, what made them the richest country? Is the people in the country. When you count 100 richest people in the world, more than 50 of them are Americans living in America, paying their tax in America, helping the American economy to grow. So if you want Africa to rise, Africa to grow, Africans have to become rich. Are you learning at all? Yeah. Unfortunately, our focus is just on politicians. Politicians have never built any country. Not even America was not built by politicians. Even China was not built by government. You know the role of Jack Ma in just the e-commerce evolution of China. Am I making sense at all? Is Jack Ma a politician? No, of course, in those countries, is a communist, so once you hit a level financially, you join the elite. Am I making sense at all? That's how they kind of run their own policy. But it's not as if he's a government official. So if you want Africa to change, you have to become multi-millionaires, employing people rather, and become billionaires, giving people jobs, building the city. Right? When we start doing that, we'll turn Africa around. I'll wrap up with this. I don't know if you have watched the movie The Men Who Built America. Right? If you haven't, go watch it again. And you understand what needs to happen to change Africa. Because you and I have been shouting bad government, bad government. What has changed since we'll be shouting? Singers have come, sang, fellas sang, died. The children are still singing. We are still there. Shouldn't that tell you that there's something we are missing in this what? In this narrative. Something is missing. The honest truth is the fact that you can't give what you don't have. We Africans haven't developed ourselves to be extremely sophisticated entrepreneurs. Because ultimately every nation is built by the entrepreneur. So back to Men Who Built America. How many of you know the man called George Rockefeller, who is behind the entire petroleum sector revolution? One man. Even did monopoly and was accused of monopoly. Right? But Shell, Chevron, ExxonMobil, all are owned by this same man. Because when they now accuse him of monopoly, because that's when American government became strong. The man was richer than the country. So they decided to divide his company into 5. And those 5 companies is still what I'm telling you, ExxonMobil, Chevron. Right? Because they felt one man richer than the entire country. So, same thing with the steel, Andrew Carnegie. How many of you read the story of Andrew Carnegie? One man. The entire rail corporation, because through steel, at some point controlled Vanderbilt as well, and Andrew Carnegie. Andrew Carnegie also at some point bought most of the rail, and in fact, it was the rail business that now made him at some point richest, the first person to pull out $400 million when he sold the entire corporation. Are we learning at all? The banking sector, JP Morgan, one man. The JP Morgan one was annoying. I think it was John D. Roosevelt who was so pissed off with JP Morgan because each time there is a financial crisis, the whole government will now be begging, and then he will not be playing them like, he will be, well, I'll check time, brother. He will just drop the proposal with the president and then go and be giving them time. And say, well, if you don't sign this, Mr. President, right, consider the entire industry gone by 12 noon tomorrow. So, right, so D. Roosevelt was so pissed off, and he then started what we now know as central banks. Because after the last time he had to beg him to help him, he said, no, one man should have this kind of power. Because he's so big, he negotiates with all the industry sector and preserve them from going bankrupt and bail them out. One man. That is the revolution we need in Africa. See what's going on with the petroleum sector in Nigeria. Do you know in the next 5 years, Nigeria will be the largest exporter of refined petroleum in the whole of the world? Because of what they're doing. Part of the frustration you are seeing NNPC do, let me tell you the frustration. Their own refinery is about to start working. Right? And if they allow Dangote have a grip on time, before that, there won't be opportunity because from importing fuel, they are still making some runs, right? Now, the only opportunity to still make something will be what? The refinery. So strangely, the refinery that has refused to work all these years, NNPC is now promising is going to be working very soon. And do no manner of delay taxes, just, and then increasing the price so that once the refinery is working, there's enough money to still keep milking. But either way, one man has shall make sure that importation of petrol is about to die in Nigeria. Are we learning at all? But I can assure you, in fact, if you notice, so that you know about the power of interest, he came back, he once said he was so going to steal. He had to come back and say, I'm not going to steal anymore. Because what you do, this thing is about people's interest. People are milking sectors, milking, and are happy that the sector does not work. So it takes people, I call them men like institution. Everyone says men like institution. And in this movement by Stephen Akintayo, I am trusting God to raise men like institutions. So this is a movement. Tell your neighbor, this is a movement. Tell another neighbor, say neighbor, this is a movement. Okay, and look at your neighbor and say, I'm glad you're on board.
I'm glad.
Thank you, and I'm open to taking your questions. Any question? One, who else? We don't want another person's question to be to another. 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's it. We only have 5. So you know yourself, please know your number. 6. Okay, raise your hands again so you're sure of your number. You are number 1. Who was number 2? You are number 2. You are number 3. Right? You are number 6. You are number 4. And then you are number 5. And then 7. Okay? So know your number. And know more. Now we have the books outside. Once you get it, please bring it to me to sign for you. How much are you selling it? I believe it's supposed to be the same price, this billionaire series. $47. How much is that in France? Eh? 129. No. 17,000. Is that correct, George? No. It's 28,000. 28,000. 28,000 seconds. Okay. So can I do this? If you're buying just one, you can get it for just 20,000 seconds. Right. So if you're buying all the 6 in the Billionaire series and the real estate one as well. But I heard you guys, this is also $47 actually. Right. So if you're buying the 6, instead of paying 20,000, you can pay 10,000 seconds for each, making 60,000 seconds. Also, for those of you buying the 6, I have a bonus for you. I have an online university where all these people I mentioned, John Maxwell, Brian Tracy, Grant Cardone, we did special courses. We taught on real estate, we taught on forex, we taught on crypto, we taught on how to make money from authoring books, e-commerce, all of that. In this entire university is $247 every month that you pay for it. I'm giving you 1 month free access if you're buying all the 6 books. So you're getting $247 for free. I thought you would clap there. So if you can help me type all I've said, those buying 1, what's the price? Those buying the 6, what's the price? And what's the bonus? If you can project it on the screen, it will be helpful. So those of you asking questions, quickly. Number 1, I want our speakers can also join in if you want to add to any of answer any of the persons asking questions, please. Yes, number one is in.
Thank you, Doctor, for the opportunity. Very briefly, and you said something which is very commonly said in Cameroon. And as a financial model, I would like you to please just throw a little bit more light. Maybe we're seeing the same thing but differently expressed. So you said that actually it's the land that is appreciating, not the building. Yes, true, we're building or undergo something of depreciation because of the physical state and the functional state of it, right? But when you look at maybe like in an approach of appraising properties, like the cost approach, where you look at the net operating income and the cap rate and all of that, which actually changes with time. We see that buildings like this, for example, that commercial buildings, they could actually, there's some appreciation going on with the net operating income that is increasing. So my question to you is, will it be wrong for me to say that even though the building is depreciating because of the functional state and the physical state, but there's some appreciation of the building by virtue of the fact that this is that building is not. Thank you, sir.
A good question. So first of all, what we're saying, we're not saying the, remember when we were talking about net operating income, the building stood on something.
Yes.
I think that's what I'm saying. Have you? The building stood on something. So what we're analyzing is not to say a building does not generate income, that's just generating income. But we're talking of capital appreciation, not rental income. Right? If you have a building, yes, you are getting rental income, and over time, the rental income increases because of inflation and even proximity of the location. Still going back to the land, giving it the reason why the rent is increasing, right? But the physical building itself keep losing value. Example is this one. The day they build a 5-star hotel, you now know that this has lost value. These people now have to drop their rates. I'm not making sense at all. And the only reason the rate drop is nothing but the fact that people now saw a new building that is new and the functionality is new and are willing to pay more for it. I'm not making sense at all. But if they were now to still sell this building because of the location, the value will still go up, even if rental income drops. Does it make sense what we're analyzing here? To tell you that the location in itself is the most critical. But what we're analyzing when we say it is land that appreciates, not the building, we're analyzing the capital appreciation. In other words, if we decide to sell the land, sell the building and the land, right? What makes people to pay more for it is the land, location of the land, not the building. Is it clear now? I know properties I'm buying in the US. I intend to demolish the entire house and then go for story. But I'm buying it because of the location of the land. So I'm only going to keep the building pending when I get permission, the permits to go for story. Does it make sense? But the real thing I'm buying is the land. Our new office in the US in Cali is $1.6 million. Now it's only 2 floors, right? But the reason why I bought it was not the 2 floor, is that it has a big land in front, and I intend to now build a 6-story office complex there. So that I'm having to pay that much was not because of the 2 floor where we currently operate from. It's the land opposite it that I can do and undo. And remember, when it's bare land, it's even more valuable because I'm not having to demolish, spend money to demolish and all of that. I can just from day one get approval and do what I want. It makes sense? Number 2, which number 2?
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm very professional consultant and over universities. And the person so that I'm going to share a bit because we were privileged to be the tax lawyers of MRS when they bought Sure. And after that, when Mr. Dangote was to open his cement factory, we were privileged to assist in getting the tax incentives for the cement factory. Then it means seeing somebody from Nigeria coming to teach us, to share with us what you have gone through. I really appreciate it. I want to thank you for that opportunity. Also, for what you are doing, because having been to Nigeria several times, I've seen some leads in the wood industry, because that's where apart from that's what I'm trying to develop. And I think that, yes, as you are rightly saying, if we African don't, we the African body will do it for us. And as you also said it, it is time for win-win partnership in Africa. And when we said it, I said, my coming to this meeting is fulfilled because when I saw the GenNext project in the USA and build the houses in Nigeria, I said, why this man source the wood flooring from? Where do we source the doors from? Where we saw the paneling from? Today I'm coming to say, please, that I'm ready for partnership. There's a samples of what we can do from Cameroon. This for decking, outdoor decking. This is engineered flooring.
And we build, have we built a house from ground up and do this?
Yes.
Are you willing to do a sample?
That
Like literally bring your man and build a two-story with this from beginning to the end as a sample? Are you willing to do that?
what I'm facing today is financing issues, but we have the raw material, we have developed expertise. Our wood flooring has fully compared to the US standards, National Flooring Association standards. And if it comes if we get the partnership, it will be easier for us to start the factory and supply everything it takes to build the house. Partnership.
You have to, I mean, this is about fact where we have to, because all these rules are also available in Nigeria. So it's a case of building a factory on one of our estates, and but before we even do that, we have to figure out how to first build one, even if it's a two-story, and see how it look, and everybody comes, see it, and it looks great. And when that works, then we can then say, okay, let's build a factory on site and build an entire estate out, leveraging on something like this. It's at that point we can then attract international funding, right, to now build a large scale. Because every project in things like this is to prove, it's a case study, right? And once you've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, over time, the money for bigger things begins.
In the US, the market is already mature. The wood flooring market is 4 or 5 years. Yes.
And it's that, can we do a sample? Two-story, he's the CEO anyway. So you guys should meet.
Okay.
Let's can do a sample. Man is ready, clap for him. Means business. All
right, so thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Wemdani Prince. I'm a young startup buyer in Duoala. So my question is based on the difficulty that I face with what you were saying in respect to upscaling the standards of what you deliver as a young entrepreneur. So when I started my company, I started, by the way, we have 4 different startups that we run under our Wembley Tech Group, which I'm the leader. So I started my company with So I'm putting my company with a branding agency where we deliver graphic designing, web development, quite functional right now, and I have more than 10 employees employed on that.
Wow. So only 10 employees, that's impressive.
So I have more than 10, I have around 21. Okay, on that. So when I started, my basic idea was if I want to succeed, I need to have a good marketing team and also a good branding team. Due to the fact that every business loves branding and every business needs to market for it to make sales. So during